I know everyone's talking about equities right now, but I've actually been trading the bonds a little bit more, Treasuries. I trade the 10-year. I'm going to put the ZN up today, show my morning trade. And I think it's really a good market for a lot of equity traders to take a look at. I've talked about this before. I think that if you're a scalper and you like a two-way tape, I put that in my morning note this morning. I think the Treasuries are a good market to trade. So we're going to talk about trading Treasuries, but I'm definitely going to go to the charts and take a look at the equity indexes as well, because I think obviously they're playing off each other. It's just busy times, Tom.
It is, and we see that in the volume. I mean, ZN, I know that's what you're looking at. Busy times. We've got almost 2 million contracts traded today. That's comparable to, if you combine the micros and the regular E-minis, to any stock index future. So what's interesting to me is the range that these markets have and how that can be appealing.
It's just a more predictable range. Look at this morning, I was looking to sell rallies in S&P. I thought it was a pretty decent squeeze high, and then, the market it rolled over so fast. I was able to get like a couple of shorts on, then I sold one. The next thing you know, I'm getting stopped out. It's hard to predict how far it can go. In equities like right now, even the NASDAQ, I heard you guys on the previous segment talking about it. It looked semi-capitulation to me. The thing can come all the way back now. And obviously volatility is good for traders, but I'm so much more of a directional trader that once I pick a side, I pretty much stay with it. Trying to pick both sides of an S&P or NASDAQ right now is just very difficult because, that NASDAQ low looks like it could be a decent low. I think one of the listeners was saying, that looks like a reversal. And you know what? I can't disagree, but overall on my bigger picture stuff, it still looks like a rally to sell. So it's like, I'm not trying to stray people away from trading those markets right now. What I'm basically trying to say is when it gets really busy, I almost am just putting on alerts and almost only waiting, or I watch the opening range. I'm watching the first 30 minutes and I'm trying to see like, okay, where can I get in and manage risk? Like this morning, I actually started off with S&P, and I thought the high this morning in the S&P was a pretty decent squeeze high. We talk about this all the time, Tom. This morning I saw that. Right. By the time I was really convinced it was pretty good, we're already trading in the belly of the bell curve, right? Of the first 30 minutes. I was waiting for the first 30 minutes to get done, and I was looking at it going, okay, now I got to be short where to stop above that high. And it's just it's a lot of risk. I'm selling minis with a 15 plus point stop, and I'm hoping that I get 15 points to the downside on already a move that's been lower. It's difficult to see what this market's going to do because they're trying to find a low. And so I always say, when the markets get really whippy, pick that side. And a lot of times I look at the bond market. And the reason why I look at the bond market is because the bond market, if equities are really busy, you're going to get some of that busyness over into the 10-year or the 30-year, and you get some really good fills. Like a lot of times you'll look at the 10-year right now. Right now it's gotten pretty slow, but it's got sizable volume on both sides, and you can get in and out no problem as a scalper, short or long. And the goal of the scalper is always, at least I was taught, to be able to scratch a trade. And so when the treasuries are getting busy bouncing off of equities, it's typically a good trade. I'll get into the 10-year a little bit more, but I think just looking at S&P before I close out, and probably want to move on to NASDAQ and get your thoughts on it. It's just when I look at this market right now, big picture is bearish because of the widening of the Bollinger Bands on the daily. We've talked about this so many times, Tom. Range expansion below the 5-day. When you go to the NASDAQ, I don't have that chart up right now for the NASDAQ, but it looks very similar to the S&P. And I was watching just what's happening here this morning, and like you had somewhat of a capitulation low. See down here how that volume got really strong selling to the downside. Right. It just squeezed right off of it. You saw big red sticks here on the negative delta, and they reversed that fiercely. This could be a good low for NASDAQ. I would not be surprised to see new highs for the day. I'd probably look to sell it again, but for right now, back in this belly, hard to be short now.
Right. And, like you said, it goes against your overall thinking, which is NASDAQ's down 5% off its highs. You've got a couple of big red daily candles. You're below your moving average. You've got the widening bands. RSI near overbought, right? Or trending towards oversold, rather. Just everything. So how do you buy into that on a day like today? It's difficult.
It is. But NASDAQ now, I've talked about this a little bit on social, my Discord, my morning note over the last week. The NASDAQ's the downside leader. It's the market I want to look to sell the most. not really getting a ton of opportunities to get in once this thing starts ripping lower, but I know I'm not looking long, which has been a saving grace. Obviously, I'm not trying to pick bottoms in this thing right now, but look at this. You're in range expansion, much clearer than you are in S&P, and below this 5-day moving average with that mouth opening. It's like, yeah, like rallies might be fierce. I mean, like this thing could rally 200 points and still be bearish. It could rally 400 points and still be bearish to me in the short term. That doesn't mean that this isn't a good low, but I won't know that that's a great low until days to come. And so for right now, I'm just trying to give some people some ideas of what we're looking at in equities and why that matters to the bond market. I'll get to in a moment, but that's what I see in S&P and NASDAQ. It's like, yeah, we might have a short-term low, hard to trade off it, hard to lean on it.
Yeah.
I think you just wait till the dust settles. Maybe it blows off a little steam here and rallies back. Wait for a short setup, sell it again. That's the way I look at the market right now.
Yeah, and you might not get that today, right?
You may not get it. It may not. That's the hard part about this. You know, I mean, I go back and look at S&P. We're just back to really where they came in at opening range. And like I said, to me, I was watching the first, 30 minutes, watching the 10 o'clock. And it's like by the time I'm able to start getting short, I'm getting short in just really not great places. It's just not been a great day for me in the S&P. It's just tough because I want to be short. I don't want to be long. But my risk reward is getting a little skewed at these levels, right? And you talked about how the delta is getting really negative. When you see it get really negative and the market keeps going lower, it's almost like you could have a capitulation move. You could have a limit down day. You could have something like that happening. So that if the only thing I know is just don't look at longs. I just can't look at a long because this market is just not done yet. Now, maybe in the short term now it is, but I'm talking about back earlier and even in NASDAQ, I'm like, I'm not stepping long in front of this thing. You're better off buying a bounce, leaning with a quick stop. I wouldn't do it, but you're looking at it for that in the S&P. NASDAQ looks like a little bit of a better low, but ultimately, this market to me is wait for the next short setup. And how that feeds over into the 10-year market is that, everyone's talking about what's going to happen with rates again, right? I mean, are we going to see a cut, right? 50 basis points in July or September. All of a sudden, this comes back again. It's surfacing. This loosens up the Treasury market a little bit.
Yep.
And that's such an important thing because this market, I'm not trading this market every day. And I'm not trading this market when the S&P is more rangy and more trendy because that's the better market for me because I like direction. When this market gets a little loose, I like it a lot. I like it on data points. I like it when the S&P and NASDAQ get really busy. And I like when there's a lot of uncertainty with rates. That's when the Treasury market, for me as a day trader, is the best. I'm not really swing trading this market. I mean, every once in a while I'll have a swing, but it's very rarely. It's mostly day trades because in this market, this to me is a true scalpers market. And the reason is because the range is more predictable and I can lean with size in an area I really like. There's not really a lot right now that I love about any specific prices. I'm just looking for squeezes and I'm trading anywhere between 2 to 10 lots on it. And I'll just click in 1 to 5 at a time to try and get in. Because when I look at the 10-year right now, pretty much flat 5-day, pretty much flat Bollinger Bands, a little bit of range expansion possibility, but look at where we are. We're like just stuck. And so it's a two-way tape to me. It's not really clear directionally higher, which would be lower rates if everybody doesn't understand how the Treasury market works. And if it goes lower, it's higher rates. And so maybe you favor the longs a little bit just because the rate cuts with a really fierce sell-off in NASDAQ and S&P that it's hard for this market to really collapse because if we're going to get ugly in equities, you might see some people step in and buy the bond market because if they're going to cut rates early, it's probably not a really good sign. It's not going to be because inflation's under control. It's because there's something wrong, right? And the Fed is going to say, hey, we're cutting 25, 50 basis points now because we see something you don't. I mean, that's ultimately what the story plot would be. And that's the way the equity market and the bond market would take it. And so you maybe favor longs a little bit. And so that's just my mindset coming into the day because I know I have to wait for shorts and setups in S&P and NASDAQ. I'm not bottom beating because it's just too difficult. I know that the 10 years in a two-way tape, maybe I favor the longs a little bit. So my mindset is if I want to day trade, I want to scalp. I'll focus that energy there and I'll just look for squeezes. I'll look for a lot of buying on a rally, a lot of selling into a low that they can't advance, and look for a rotation.
So a question for you on this chart. You're trading at the top of your 30 to 70% zone and you're above the 5-period moving average. So things are looking a little bit more bullish for bonds, or in this case, 10-year notes. What happens if we see a continuation into that 70% area, 70 to 100% area? Are you looking more directional in your intraday trading, or are you saying, you know what, I'm going to step away because it isn't two-way tape? You know, you say you like directional things, so step up into that 70% to 100% indicates cutting rates, like you said, probably not for the good reasons, right? Maybe labor market is starting to really weaken, so they have to cut rates and goose the market. So is it something that might shift you back to equities if it gets that extended, or is it more attractive?
Well, let's put it this way. If equities are still going lower, my focus is still going to be on selling rallies in S&P and NASDAQ, because that's where the money is, where I think the range expansion could be. I'm not super interested in the Treasuries if we get in a really tight, trendy market, because once again, I like Treasuries during data. I like Treasuries when there's a lot of uncertainty because the tape gets loose.
Okay.
And what do I mean by that, everybody, right? When you look at the bid and offer here in the Treasuries, it's 4,000 to 6,000 up. I don't really buy the offer or sell the bid unless I really, really want to get in. Like early, I'll show you my trades and let's kind of go over that scenario. This is what I look for. I mean, just to answer your question, Tom, yeah, like if it gets trendy higher and the moves are becoming somewhat substantial and the tape is pretty loose and equities are getting hammered, I'll keep one eye on a squeeze lower in the Treasuries, but then I'll only look long, right? That's the way I look at trading Treasuries. And now, I mean, maybe we'll see if we get something else here. Like I kind of like this little squeeze high. I actually was working 4s, 3Fs and 4s as I was watching you and Tom, or you and Jimmy, and I just didn't get them, you know, and I didn't love it too much just because it wasn't near standard deviation. There wasn't a little more confirmation, but it would have worked for a quick rotation. Once again, I'm going to risk 2-3 ticks to make, 2-3 ticks.
So now I'm seeing a bunch of selling coming in at these levels. Are these good highs? I mean, maybe it isn't enough of a range to say that, yeah, it's a lot of selling at the high, but it just seems like now we might have hit some resistance. Are you thinking of going the other way possibly?
Well, you mean like right here, how it's sold 600 and something. So they're selling several hundred on the bid here.
Right.
The problem is right now, as we get into this kind of late morning, it's so tight. Like it will, like I said, go back to, it's a little loose here. What am I going to do? I'm going to try to buy a 1 to sell a 1/2.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's just, I don't see, like, if it would have still, like, last 30-minute bar, the range is so tight. You got 3/2 to 0. It's a 3.5 tick range in 30 minutes, right? Like earlier this morning, you got 10, 15 tick ranges, 3-4 ticks in a 10, 15 tick range. I'm not in the business to scalp for 1 or 2 ticks in Treasuries. For example's sake, what you have to be careful of with Treasuries, and so this is such a good point though, Tom, there is nuance to this, right? Like you have to realize that the Treasury window, when it's busy, it closes really fast. So all of a sudden it'll be busy for like it is 2-3 hours this morning, and all of a sudden the last 30-minute bar is at 3.5 tick range. You really have to be careful about trying to squeeze out a few ticks in this when it gets to a 3.5 tick range in the prior 30 minutes. So it's tightened up. And so you have to look at it and you have to be smart and say, look at all the standard deviations are getting flat. VWAP's flat. Volume's dried up. Look at the volume drop. The last 30-minute bar from the previous 30-minute bar dropped 100,000 contracts.
Right.
236 to 135. This is out of favor now. People are back to looking at equities. What I want people to realize is too, when you get near highs or lows, volatility will pick up in this market. Set alerts. Watch for squeeze highs or lows in this market. If I think it's a two-way tape and we get back up to the high and it's near a 3 standard deviation, and all of a sudden buyers are trying to buy and it can't push through it, all of a sudden you're going to see maybe the sellers come back and rotate in. It's a mean reversion market for me right now. So I'm going to look for mean reversion type trades, and that squeezes.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
When we look at this market, when I'm looking at it as a whole, I'm very picky with it. This is not a market you're going to come in and see setups like you see in NASDAQ and S&P every day. But I will say this to all the traders out there that are trading equity indexes and you're a scalper, you have that mentality of like quick in, quick out. I think you should take a look at the Treasuries. I think you take a look at the bonds. You look at ZB. You can also look at the TN. You know what? When this market first came out, the ultras, I used to trade the ultras a lot. It was actually my preferred market for a couple of years. I don't trade them as much anymore. I went back to the 30-year or the 10-year or the 30-year. I don't trade the ultras. A lot of the best bond traders I know do trade the ultras just because they are a little looser. And once again, what do I mean by when, as you can see, I had it up earlier. The volume on here is not as big, which is what you'll want for a scalper. Touch higher tick value than the 10-year. To me, it's a market that moves pretty good. And I think that you go out there and you look at these types of markets because they really do fit within, I think, the context of an index trader. I think you watch them for a period of time. You know, you can put these on sim as well. Pretty confident. I've never tried them on the sim, but I'm pretty sure that you can. I know that you can't do micros on the sim, micro treasuries, which are the actual yields. Pretty sure you can trade these on the sim. And so go out there and try your strategies on them. I like these types of markets. Once again, data, busy times in equities, keep an eye on treasuries, keep an eye on bonds.
Yeah, talking about sim, you do have the ability to use these in the sim. Question for you, when we were looking at your 10-year note trades earlier, you talk about scalping. It's a 30-minute bar. How long were you in that trade?
I was in it at maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Okay.
So what happened was after this bar opened and we made a low,
right,
I basically got in at the beginning of this bar, the first few minutes, and then there was maybe 5 or 10 minutes left in this 30-minute bar. I was working orders the whole time. It spent a little bit of time down here. It didn't just last off. I was long from 5 and 5.5, and I was still working 4 halves, and I just didn't get them. That's what it is. But yeah, it spent a little bit of time here. One thing I do want to point out too, which is interesting when you look at a squeeze and you're coming off of a low, when you see a squeeze like this, okay, where you see 1, 2, 3 really heavy delta to the sell side bars, keep an eye on this cumulative delta, right? Cumulative delta for the day was negative 11,000, all right? Then the market turned and it went bid. If you look at this previous sell area right here is 110.26.5. I was watching this very closely at the time. At this time, it was negative delta pretty strong here on this previous low. And when we got back into the body of this last bar, look at how many of the buyers came in right there. So the buyers looked at this and said, this is where we came in and sold. This is where we came back in and bought back. So you see how that looks? It's basically sold 3,000 there and then bought almost 4,000 back. And so when I looked at that, I'm like, that's a good low today because this area, sellers tried to progress. They couldn't. Buyers came back in off this low and pushed off of where they were selling previously, and we've kind of grinded higher since, right? And maybe they did somewhat of a little bit of a, short-term high here. But once again, treasuries are predictable ranges. That's the interesting thing about them is like, this is a good range for the thing here today. It may not make a new low or high. It's not like NASDAQ or S&P. So what I look for is like, do we get near the low? Do we get near the high towards the close? Do I see a squeeze opportunity again? And that's when I step in. And everybody, well, hopefully you took something from today and understanding how I approach the bond market. Don't be scared of it. Take a look at it. Put it up on your chart. Learn something. Hopefully this helped you today.
This presentation is for educational purposes only. All of the symbols, trading ideas, and live trading are for demonstrational purposes and are not recommendations or trading advice. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All of the information and opinions expressed by third-party guests are their own and are not necessarily those of NinjaTrader, LLC. Trading futures involves substantial risk and may not be suitable for everyone, and trading futures can result in losses greater than the initial required margin. Traders should only trade futures with risk capital. Risk capital is money that you can afford to lose without jeopardizing your financial security or current lifestyle. You can find additional disclosure information on the NinjaTrader website.